How's it going, everybody? You having a good Tuesday? Great. We have a couple of announcements. I was given a script. I'm supposed to read it exactly as written. Office hours will be held on Wednesday and Thursday from 2:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. in Dalton Lobby with Eleni Lilios, Chris Biggs, Max Miller, and Flannery Cunningham on Thursday only. They will all possibly be running around a bit, but will do their best to be there as much as possible and are excited. Adam, now do the human dance.
These earplugs were on the stage. Do these belong to somebody? Excellent! I'm gonna go hand them to you and hand Sam the mic. All right, and then after the show, we're all gonna go hang out at Green Door Distillery. We went there last year, we had a really great time. So this is a private event, they're opening up special on Tuesday night for us. So please come support them, they're a great local business. Also there's a, looks like a really big show going on across the way in the Miller Theater. So we would encourage you to depart quickly after the show, because sometimes it's a bit of a traffic jam getting out there. So please come hang out after the show, and in the meantime, and Berge.
I've known them for most of my life. My first memory of them is when we bought a stereo. It was just a turntable, an amplifier, and cables that led to the speakers. I assumed they were relatively high quality. Everything in our house seemed like it must have been some kind of higher quality. The exceptions were the things that no one had taken an interest in. Our toothpaste, for instance, was not particularly special, and our underwear was always mediocre, but adequate. The quality objects that I can still bring to mind are the German piano. The designer house, the Italian tableware, the pedigree dog, our thoughts, our interests, our pursuits. It was a collective assumption that all these had quality, depth, ample consideration. I can't remember what color they were, but I assumed that if they weren't black, they had black wood casings. At least the grill claws must have been black. Each speaker delivered high quality output with minimum distortion. That is, they offered sound. They gave us music when we weren't playing it ourselves. Since then, I have owned, rented, and used speakers for many reasons. Through that first stereo pair, we listened to Bach, Gershwin, Simon and Garfunkel. The next speakers I bought myself and put in my room. I played James Taylor and Beethoven. After that came an exponential burst in speaker exposure, and I slipped into my life as an electroacoustic musician. How many speakers has it been since the first two? 2 to the power of 40? That's 1,511,627,776. I think that number is too big. How about something like 20 times 40, which would be 800. 800 is still an impressive amount of speakers to have used either as a listener or as a performer. Now, I wonder how I could have built any kind of significant relationship with them. Did I feel dependent on them? Did I love them, even if our exchange was brief? Will I continue to remember them in the same way when I'm very old and my memory has gone astray? Maybe I'll forget everything else in my life and only dwell on black boxes that feed sound to the world. Do you know, I have a secret. It's this. I don't know if I've ever loved them or if I ever will. I don't understand love enough to explain these things to you. But I can tell you one thing. I love learning about them. I love their history, about what they can do, about what they can't do, about their big and little parts, about their promises for the future, and most of all, I love my fantasies about our work together. Past, present, and future. Speakers and me. They are an augmented me, and not at all me in one breath. They give me potential, they give me reflection, they enhance my sounds, my body, my art. They strengthen my nuance and integrity, and they steer me deeper and deeper into the jungle of sound. They trigger my cravings for information, for feedback. They invite me to probe, examine, investigate, delve, dig, grub, scoop, jab, nudge, poke, prod, sound out. interesting button push here. I guess I'll just push it here. I have a butterfly in here. It's only been there for a few months now. I found it in an enormous insect display in the Natural History Museum. And I took it. We had quite a time resuscitating it and figuring out how to get it into me. But after some tricky fantasy work, we both seemed to be doing okay. You know, getting on with our lives. The butterfly stays inside my chest. The wings are always open. They trace the insides of my ribs. I can sense it there, but I can't really feel it. It doesn't tickle or hurt or anything like that. It's just there, delicate and beautiful. It's not a cabbage white or a purple emperor or an orange sulfur or a Donis blue or a red glider or a bog copper or a brown elephant or orange batwing or a purple hairstring or a red ring or a Sarah orange tip or a blue metal mark. It's a black veined white. I met this particular black veined white when I was messing around in the grassy place down by the swamp. We owned a big plot of land, which included a pine forest on the hill, some fields, a swamp, which was good for skating in the winter, but not very useful for kids. There were other wild plants and flowers around, but right there, right where I liked to be, was mostly just in the long green grass. The black veined white was also there. It was not the most stunning butterfly I had ever met, but I still liked to watch it. It was all alone, but not lonely, and its wings were usually in action. They were creamy white with a few simple black lines that ran through them, and as far as I could tell, it spent most of its time flying around, and paused only once in a while to enjoy its beauty. When I first spotted it, it was flying back and forth between a clover blossom and a thistle. And during those long summer afternoons, the tall swamp reeds, the grass, the clover, the thistles, the black veined white and I felt like we were all together infinite. We were always in motion, focusing our strength, seeing, floating, capturing, suspending time and place, remaining totally innocent about greater things. Our conversations were made of breath. Sort of a flow in air pressure. It was easiest to understand one another when the wind was calm. Otherwise, some of that extra blowing that wrought all kinds of miscommunication that we had to clear up the next day. What we experienced on a good day was completely outside the realm of words. I think back on those afternoons in the grassy place, I can't remember any words that came through my head. One super calm, sunny day, when our conversation had found a nice hassle-free rhythm, we promised each other that from then on we would meet up every summer in the same place, the grassy spot near the swamp. We did it. Every summer, even the grass and the flowers showed up. And then I moved to town. After that, I occasionally wore a bra, had a boyfriend shave my legs. And my memories of the long grass, the clover, the thistles, the swamp, and the black-veined white got so quiet and inconspicuous that I thought they were probably something I was embarrassed about. Without even trying to sort them out, I put them away. I went on to build a career, meet my husband, raise our child. 50 years later, I saw it again, the black-veined white. I found it by surprise in a room. I was just killing some time when I wandered into a darkly lit room upstairs where all the walls were covered with dead butterflies on display in glass cases. Each case held about 50 butterflies, and I bet there must have been, in total, at least 1,000 of them. They had labels glued above them with names like Pyrrhus rapa, Apara, Iris polas, Uretheme, Lysandro, Belagaris, Simothimi, Cochichina, Localo, Expica, Califrus, Augustinus, Letha, Altitus, Hollis, Bilibis, Hybera, Augras, Saralama, Sula. Each butterfly was speared in the heart by a little pin that kept it in place forever. It was terrible. It was a room full of crucified butterflies. Yet another collection of civilization's misconceived icons. I felt pretty vague and numb, standing there in front of the glass case that caged the black-veined white. I was tempted to hate all butterflies, probably because I could only think about the awful things that had been done to them, and I knew for sure I had done some of those awful things too. And as I stood there, I had no idea what I could do for this dead butterfly. I would never be able to erase the image of it pinned up for display like that. Plus, my memories about the black-veined white 40 years ago were awfully old and quiet, and I'd never been able to sort them out anyway. I had just put them away. But on some level, I was still attached to those old fantasies we had when we were at the grassy place together. Especially when we were all together infinite. I thought that I could find a way to get the black-veined white inside my own body, internalize it, have it live inside of me. Otherwise, it would have to stay dead as a pinup in that creepy glass case. It's not really clear to me how we did it, but by using more imagination than experience, we found a way to be together. The details of our unification remains a bit vague. All I know is that we steered away from trying to fulfill any kind of profound cosmic or personal destiny. We simply united voluntarily, like old friends. Our friendship was made of breath. Our communication was outside the realm of ideas. Ideas are perishable, facts unreliable. We focused on what we shared. We shared breath and heart and a friendship born from a single recollection. And the recollection ran the risk of dying if it hadn't been remembered. Our quiet old memory woke up in us, came back to life. Quite simply, the long grass, the clover, the thistles, the swamp, the black-veined white, and I wanted ourselves back in whatever form we could have it. And this time, we are finite. We have history. We have our future. We have these things until we die. It's time for the pop quiz. Becky, how many cables are on this stage, do you think?
Myself? Okay. 12.
12. Whoa.
Probably more than 12.
I know,
Including
because,
the snake, more than 12.
well, there's the little speaker cable.
Oh no, you're right.
Yeah.
20? 25.
All right, so we'll have to count them when we clean up, won't we? Sam, does everyone in your family make beautiful gestures when they want meaning to come forth?
No.
No? Are you the only one?
Yes.
How did that happen, Sam?
I'm not sure, but I'm told it comes quite naturally to me.
And Keith.
Hello.
Hello, Keith. What lake in Minnesota do you prefer swimming in?
I am unsure.
Well, there are 10,000.
There are.
Yeah, so...
There is a lake that my family goes to,
Yes.
and I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember the name of it.
Okay. It wasn't Lake Nokomis. It wasn't
was not.
Square Lake.
No.
My favorite was
actually,
Square
I'm visiting
Lake.
my aunt there. In a couple of days, I could look up the name right now.
This is a pop quiz, Keith.
I'm failing.
So, like...
It's not open book?
No, we're going to have to let that go. And then we're going to have to run over to Ted. Ted,
I
how many t-shirts do you own? And do you have a favorite kind of t-shirt or one favorite t-shirt?
I actually only own like 10 t-shirts.
20?
No, like 10. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, because...
I like the solid color with the one pocket. That's my favorite kind of t-shirt.
Yeah. But you don't have it on.
I don't have it on.
No, okay.
But I'll have one on later this week.
Oh, so you brought it?
Yeah,
All right.
keep your eye out for that. A few different colors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any more questions? Do you have any questions for me in this pop quiz? No questions. Yes, down in front here. And because I haven't learned all your names, I had to pick on the faculty.
Why butterflies?
But first you have to say your
Oh,
name.
sorry. Hi, I'm Camille.
Oh, hi.
I'm curious about this theme of butterflies.
Why butterflies?
Yeah.
Well, they flew around when I was a kid, and so I just remembered them. And I walked into a place once and saw all those crucified butterflies, and I thought, what are we doing in the human race? And that's why story came about. Any other questions? Whoa! Well, you know what? It's a really short piece, and so this is great, but you know, cocktails are, this is not the last piece.
Can I ask about the speaker?
The speaker, it's a Monocore 45, and it is used, or it was used as a subwoofer in cars, and I own about 10, at least 10 of them. So maybe if we do a raffle, I could leave this one and not take it home with me. Any other questions? I think, what do you think? Do you think, okay, yes? Well, you know, he's the mic guy.
Hi, I'm Luciano. Do you believe in destiny?
I believe in infinity.
How's it different?
They all end in E. One more question, because now we have to get back to profound music making. You know, I'm going to be around for the whole week, so we can get mics and talk to each other.
Do you like Neutral Milk Hotel?
Neutral Milk Hotel?
Yeah, the band.
Oh, I don't know them. So that's a stunning question, because it's a little bit like only owning 10 t-shirts and not knowing the lake that you swim in. Okay, thank you very much for the pop quiz. The key was in the door. 1, 0. The key was in the latch. 1, 1. The key was in the lock. 1, 0, 0. The key was in the pocket. 1, 0, 1. The key was in the file. 1, 1, 0. The key was in the words. 1, 1, 1. She memorized it and put it in the box. Boxes are homes for vulnerability. Lung bags, heart pumps, gut bugs, muscle meat, bone beams, nerve fibers, blood juice, kidney beans, eyeballs, nose drugs, ears wax, nails, 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 nails. Hairy ropes in the box. 26 items is 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. The data was routed. 1, 0, 0, 1. The data was entered, 1010. The data was processed, 1011. The data was stored, 1100. The data was redundant, 1110. The data was put in the cloud. Clouds are dormitories for the wisdom of stuff. Air system, particle storage, vapor apps, rain servers, box network, retain structures, steam switches, dust routers, moisture safe, liquid drivers, frozen sources. Cool, 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 cool. 26 items is 101011. The code was carried to Venlo. That's in Holland. 10000. The code was shipped to Malaga. 10001. The code was flown from Lima. 10010. The code was tagged in Bangkok. 10011. The code was traced from Auckland. 10100. The code was passed in Bogota. 10101. The code went from her brain through her body and back again. And again 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 and again. Codes are the lyrics of infinity. Container veins, barge fiber, train valves, boat arteries, truck cells, plane nerves, ship tissue, bus neurons, car blood, bike cells, transport axons, truck, pipeline signals are the code. 52 items plus an additional 26 items is 100. 1110. you know that they weren't always women sitting on rocks, seducing men coming around in ships? Sirens used to be, a long time ago, they had kind of duck-like bodies, sort of poultry bodies, and then they had webbed feet, and they also then had some human heads and various forms that you found drawn in ancient drawings. And then some guys came along and wrote some stories about sirens, and they became these women sitting on the rocks. Did you know that? Yeah, no, look it up. It's really interesting. And so, but what happens now is with sirens, and this is something that I missed in my childhood, is the sirens that everyone's thinking about now is the Little Mermaid. And that's our idea of a siren, which is also pretty strange. But it relates to what I really want to move on up to talk to you about, which is the siren. And the siren was invented, well, it was invented by a few people, because no one really invents anything alone. It was in France, 1700s, and then the 1800s, they refined it. And what it was it was one of the first physical objects that could register frequency. And they could actually create and register the frequencies they were creating. And they could also send those underwater. So the reason they named it, and this was one person, the reason he named it a siren was because he thought it was such a beautiful sound that it would be just like the women sitting on the rocks. So when you hear this, be careful. You might be seduced. And then we had the sirens, and they had many functions. And one of the functions that we all know is that they go around warning us about danger. Sometimes in times of extremity, not only extremis, but extreme times, but also times just to warn you, which could be good, which could be bad. Sirens then are also something possibly that are going on inside of you. They're in your blood. They're in your bones. They don't go away when you see them.